hard in the
run what we
paint.
playing, we one and the same. But what I need to know is who running the
I go
stage.
hard in the paint.
Yeah, we love this.
Welcome everybody to the RTC Run the Court podcast, brought to you by 13 Bridge Studios. And today I'm sitting with a super special guest, the creative director, lead designer. This guy worked with everybody in the business. LeBron, KD, Greek Freak, Nike, you name it. He started at N1. So this is the guy that's pretty much responsible for merging culture and basketball. He went from N1, Underground, and now his new company, Trophy Hunting, that you see Steph wearing every post game. Dustin, thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
I want to talk to you about your roots and what started all this. You're extremely talented. I'm a fan personally. Thank you for joining us, and talk to us how you're going to be the next creative director, lead designer of everything coming on the RTC Run the Court game.
Well, I think me getting into the culture of basketball was just me being in the culture of basketball and being a product of it. So growing up in the 90s in the Bay Area, Oakland, I experienced basketball firsthand. I played it, I was around it, grew up around J.R. Ryder, Jason Kidd, those guys. So they were like NBA bound, so you kind of got to see the progression. I just like got soaked up in it. And at the same time, Nike was pushing all of their products. So from a marketing standpoint, I was just getting immersed in like a world of basketball that like seemed cooler and cooler as the Warriors and Run TMC and all these like cultural things were happening. I was like in the middle of it. So for me, that was the most authenticating thing that kind of separates me from a lot of people that are doing it today, that are doing design and being in the creative space today. So I think the biggest thing was that like giving me interest in it, and then playing sports and kind of figuring out that art school was my path. Like I was always into arts and loved being creative. I think that having the platform of basketball as kind of my focus point got me into college and gave me something to shoot for. Like my goal was to work at Nike, and I didn't know what I was going to do there, design shoes or something, but I just wanted to be down with Nike and kind of help carry on what they had already going on. So that was it. It's like once I got into school, it was writing letters to Nike and hoping that I got in. But funny enough, after Nike, or as I was finishing up college, a company called N1 was kind of bubbling in New York. It wasn't really hitting the West Coast like it was here, but I took a job with N1 kind of just on a dream, just like it wasn't Nike, but the stuff that they had told me about, like I was young and kind of just literally packed 2 bags and moved to Philly. Wow. And haven't been back.
You were the designer of the trash talking t-shirts of N1? Was that your work?
No. So I always say that N1 was my master's and doctorate in basketball, culture, and design. So when I went there, I was part of the first wave of designers being hired. So it was me, a couple other people, and anything that we didn't think was cool, like we had an opportunity to change it. So if I didn't like the t-shirts, I could design my own t-shirts. So they used to have meetings where they would have all these trash talk slogans on it, and people would kind of vibe out over lunch. And that's kind of how those came to be. And then we worked with an artist to design those. So that was like my first foray in seeing like, oh, you don't have to actually design that, physically design the t-shirt. You can come up with the idea and then use resources that aren't you to do other stuff. So like learning art direction, learning how to design apparel. We used to make like really good basketball shorts. That's that's been in my DNA since then. So I carry that on today, trying to keep reinventing the basketball short. So
Job training.
Yeah, no, it was. Like my boss was in Taiwan. I would go out there like every 5 to 6 weeks, learn at the factory level, like how to sew, how footwear is constructed, how like a small edit costs thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. So it was a very entrepreneurial experience. and they were kind of on the rise. So I got to kind of like do literally whatever I want.
Basically, from what you said, growing up where you grew up, the culture was all around you. So your environment plus your talent almost left you no choice. And I find it similar to be when people say, like for instance, Fat Joe. Fat
Yeah.
Joe said, look, I grew up in the Bronx. When I went outside, there was hip hop. So that's what he was the culture. Just went outside and he was in the culture. It sounds very similar to your story. Like this is what you grew up in. This is what you are.
It is what I am, and it's hard for me to think that I would do anything else, because even now I do pretty much the same thing, but it's 20 years, 25 years experience doing it now, and I don't know, I've carved out a pretty like profound spot and like special skill in this world, and now companies hire me to make sure that things are culturally relevant or aren't corny, and I think that the authenticity and growing up in it is the only way to be able to do that.
Oh, it's tough. And it's what's the cool thing is you said you started at N1. They were all about culture and basketball. So Run the Court has a lot of that feel.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for through this game. The authenticity, the street ball,
Yep.
the trash talk. That's what this game is. And your next company, Underground,
Yep.
that led the charge as well in culture and basketball. So it seems like this is your theme, culture and basketball. You're the guy to turn to.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, when I initially was brought on the Run the Court project, the stuff that Ryan was talking about initially was everything that I believed in. It was like the details and the intricacies of the game that allowed me to feel connected to it, and that it wasn't going to be something that I didn't really want to be a part of. So Underground was kind of the same thing. We wanted to be able to like have an opportunity to do a lot of the basketball products that were built for on court, but make them off court and be part of more of the culture of basketball rather than making you faster or jump higher and do all that. So we really tapped into just people like me who were really just involved in surrounding the game and like loved it, but didn't necessarily like play competitively at that level anymore. So that was a great.
So the stamp of approval, the Run the Court game got the stamp of approval design. It's like the creme, I consider him the creme de la creme. Let the people know, should I say it or do you want to say it? My favorite jersey that I saw, it's sold out everywhere, the best selling jersey in the world. This guy is responsible for it. Golden State Warriors, the town. This is the guy that made it.
Yep.
Can you just tell us about, how you made that and what was the thought process behind it? And name the other ones you did, because you just didn't do them. You did other NBA jerseys.
No, so when I Nike poached me when they got the license to do the NBA uniforms, and I was kind of brought in because of how authentic I was to basketball culture and just my past. So I was able to really tap into my old past to come into a job that really wanted to bring a lifestyle element to some of the city jerseys that they were working on. So as I was kind of accepting that role, I was like, okay, on one condition, that I get to design the Warriors jerseys. And that was it. Like being from the Bay, growing up, like huge Warriors fan, and they were just starting to get good, and that's all I wanted to do. So, it was a really educational experience on like corporate life and having to like, it's not always the best idea that wins, it's the person that could last the longest through all the meetings and all the bureaucracy. But it was a huge learning experience. I'm glad I stuck with it. And we were able to like really connect with the city of Oakland and bring something that the people really respected. And like that was my thing. So then while I was there, I was like, okay, well, I'm from here, but I've lived in Philly, so I want to do the Sixers uniform. J.R. Ryder played at Minnesota Timberwolves, so I grew up kind of watching them a little bit, so I did those. One of my best friends lived in Chicago, and of course everyone loves Chicago Bulls, so I did those jerseys. one of the jerseys that I think that goes unseen a lot is the Brooklyn Nets jersey that I did for the very first year. It was inspired by the bridge. There were shapes in the bridge that kind of brought the uniform out. So like everything I learned about uniform design and just creating like motifs out of something that existed and trying to solve a problem were part of the Brooklyn jersey. So
They sold.
yeah.
They were all over Brooklyn.
No, those ones were great. And then the Sixers, we had we were like I would go to the Sixers games during the Iverson heyday, like when they were in the finals, and they ended up having Rocky play every fourth quarter, like right before they went in. So obviously people associate Philly and Rocky, but we did like the gray heather uniforms for the Sixers, which were real dope. And yeah, no, it was great. I was there a short time, but made my mark.
Sure did make you mark. It's like it seems like your talent made you fulfill your dreams.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid, Golden State Warriors, just run TMC. That was that was my shit too.
Yeah, no doubt. Everyone loved TMC.
Yeah, and you worked at it. I mean, obviously you're talented, but then you worked at it. You studied overseas. You were studying the craft, and then you were aggressive. You were writing these letters. Yo, hit me.
No.
Give me a shot. And you definitely knocked it out the park.
Yep.
I was watching the highlights yesterday, and I'm noticing Steph Curry's rocking a hat, bro.
Yes, sir.
It's the same hat on your head.
Yes, sir.
Is that your new company?
Yeah, so I'm a serial entrepreneur. Like after I left Nike, I knew I needed to get back into like kind of creating my own path. Like even while I was at Nike, I would always take on projects that no one wanted to do. So I was able to do the WNBA jerseys for them the first year, and like relaunched Kyrie and LeBron and KD's brands there. So like after doing those things, I was like, okay, I really need to do something on my own.
They bring you in, these brands contact you and bring you in to revitalize the look? Or?
They do that, but when I was at Nike, I was kind of a resource. So it was like, because I lived in New York long enough to like not do shit I didn't want to do. So it was really like, okay, well, the uniform thing is kind of like checked. People have like a system kind of going with that. So like, what's next? So I was always like looking for what problem could we solve and make better. So the next one was signature athletes. Like no one was buying that stuff. The product the players didn't want to wear. So we went in and like I built a team, and we basically revamped the entire like Nike signature athlete. So I got to work with LeBron and KD, Paul George, Giannis. We launched his first collection. Kyrie's was really dope, and they did well, and all that did was show us like, okay, with some money and some people, like I can do this on my own again. So me and like my creative partner from Undercrown and another business partner or another friend of mine, like we started trophy hunting like right before COVID started, like literally right before. So it was nuts. It was really about like experiencing life and enjoying it while you're doing it. Like that's the trophy hunting aspect of it. It's like you're not chasing this trophy and like looking for the next one. It's really like being in the moment and like enjoying like what you and I do on a daily basis. This is fun. Like some people call it work, but we couldn't do anything else. Like I couldn't do anything else than what I'm doing now. It's just great that it's my lifestyle and kind of pays the bills and keeps me energized. Yeah.
So you guys came up with this idea right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic hit, so you guys were just locked in creative. So this
you
had all the details worked out by the time you guys came out of COVID.
Yeah, no, like building a company is no joke. So it's like building infrastructure and having a process and making sure that all of those checks are checked, and that we have a platform to be able to like execute everything that we have. Because like the ideas are the easy part. When you're on design, it's really the execution and the money side of it that takes. So, bringing on some like ex-Nike people, working with agencies, like, tapping into our networks. Like, it took the 2 years of COVID to really kind of like build that and make sure that like once we were ready, like we can take the reins off and like go. And that's kind of happening now. Like, Steph has been a huge supporter of the brand.
He wears it all the time. Every post-game interview, he's got trophies.
Nah, he believes it. You know what I mean? And he's just like such a great guy. And
You know who doesn't have a trophy on Durant?
Who's that?
This guy.
Oh.
I need
Oh,
one.
yeah, we could. I know.
Nah, I'm gonna go to the site and I'm gonna support because I believe in your story. Your story's dope, and I don't want one for free. I'm gonna buy one.
Nah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we now have the NBA license, so we're gonna be doing more teams, more moments. Like the Warriors project was for the Warriors ring night, so that's why Steph wore it, and it was in all the interviews, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. And like I said, he's a huge supporter, and there's other NBA players that are huge supporters. So it's really.
When you're dope, and people recognize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your resume speaks for itself. This is what else do you want? LeBron, Nike, KD, Giannis, Kyrie, the best-selling jersey in the world at the time, and now you're doing RTC Run the Court, working with 13 Bridge Game Studios.
Yep.
So I don't see who else coming with this design, this level of design. This is the creme de la creme, top tier level design for Run the Court. And we're excited to see. I want to see what else you come with.
Nah, I appreciate it. Being from the Bay, like there's like a humbleness to the hustle.
Don't be humble, bro. You
And
don't have to be humble.
nah, and I think right now like the cachet that's put on a lot of designers and people kind of coming out are because they're a little bit more boastful. So this is something I'm trying to do more.
Some
Yeah.
people are boastful and they didn't do shit.
No facts.
You
Yeah.
you can talk shit.
No, I know. That's why I'm around a lot of people that do it for me, and now it's like I'm kind of coming into my own and be able to do that a little more. And having your own business, like you sink or swim. It's like eat what you kill. So there's no ways to be humble now.
Right. Look, Dustin, thank you.
Nah, appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you. You're super talented, yo. You're the man, bro.
No doubt.
I
Appreciate it.
appreciate you.